What's up, wrestling fans? You have now joined WrestlingRumors.net for what again is the greatest internet show on the internet. Is that right?
Something like
that. Is that what we are? Are they the greatest? I don't know. We're probably not, but hey, we try our best. Wrestling Rumors crew, joining with you as we do every single Monday night at 6:30 p.m. It is Wrestling Warm-Up. Of course, this is our special occasion. This is the Wrestling Warm-Up Royal Rumble Fallout Edition. Of course, a bunch of snow is going to be falling and is falling out in the Northeast tonight, so there is no live Raw as far as matches and stuff go. They're going to do a Raw tonight from the WWE headquarters, which should be kind of boring, but maybe interesting. I don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, they're going to replay Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble at least 15 times. I'm gonna say the over/unders. The good estimate, a good guesstimate, if you will, would be probably 15 times. And you're not going to hear boos because they're going to chime in all the extra cheers for Daniel Bryan that were at the beginning of the Rumble, and they're going to put that in at the end. John was actually there. We're going to talk to everybody now and just go ahead and get into this. There's no format for tonight. Just know that there's going to be a Raw from 8 until 11. 3 hours from the WWE headquarters. I don't know what they're going to do. We can talk about that after we talk about the Rumble. But let's talk about the Rumble boys. Alex Bison's joining us, of course. We did the pre-show last night. Alex had the opportunity to live tweet from the Wrestling Rumors account, which was very fun. We got a lot of followers after through our live tweeting last night, so you must have done something right. So Alex says the view never changes if you can't read. That's what it says. Mr. Walters joining us from the vast lands of Canada. Yeah. So, yeah. And of course,
I'm not as pale as this light makes me look, by the way.
Well, where's the globe? We can't even see the globe right there.
It's not there anymore. I moved into the closet.
I'm trying to get to John over here, but I think he froze again.
Oh, it's frozen up again?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, but I can't see you.
Well, why don't you just throw up a picture of, like, the Moon Man or something on the 1-year anniversary?
Well, it is the birthday boy. You can hear the birthday boy, but you can't
There you go. Is that good now? You got me now?
There you go.
Look at that 16-year-old little boy.
Yeah, you know, 16. You know, they let anyone walk into a liquor store these days.
I'm surprised you didn't know that.
Yeah, seriously, B-Song, come on.
We don't have liquor stores. If we did, I'd have a Dos Equis as well.
That's true. You guys, like, go into, like, a local cave and try to, like...
Steal it?
You try to, like, squeeze, like, alcohol out of the dripping water that comes from the cave tops and out there in rural Pittsburgh. Anywho, a lot of fun last night. You're wrong, though, Doug. They're not going to show Reigns winning over and over again. They're just going to show pictures of him winning over and over again.
That would be the safest thing.
That's what they do with everything. They never show actual video clips from the paper.
Well, they got to do something tonight. They got to fill up 3 hours. They can't just
look, give me Scott Stamford and I'll be a happy man. That's all I need.
Well, you were there, John. Tell me. I mean, you called me immediately after the Rumble last night to ask how it came across on television because of how loud the boos and the atrocious turning of the fans on Roman Reigns was. Now, you were there. Explain to us what actually went down.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the pay-per-view back, and I can tell you that there's a lot of stuff they're pulling during the live production to mask stuff because it was polarizing how loud with boos it was at the end of the show. Just absolutely polarizing. And I tweeted it out at the very beginning of the show in the opening video, which you guys couldn't hear the natural sound on, I'm sure.
Correct.
When Reigns pops up the first time, that place lost it. So it was going to be a bad night, and you knew it was going to be a bad night. And they had to have known that it was going to be a bad reaction to it. I think WWE, they were hell-bent on making it happen with Roman Reigns as the winner, and that's fine. And I really think that they, in theory, they game planned on how they can make this go over as well as possible by bringing in The Rock, by getting rid of Bryan early, all those factors. But, swing and a miss.
Oh, well, I mean, you were there, so you actually got to hear it live. Yeah, that was the thing. When they started doing the Rumble promos, which I was super excited for, I've missed old school Rumble promos like this, and I love when they actually pull it off. I thought the triple threat match was going to be the main event at this point because here's the Rumble promos, and they usually do that right before the match. So I was I was getting stoked. I was like, well, maybe the triple threat match, which we'll get to because holy crap, was that not the match of the year candidate for next year? That
should have closed the show in retrospect.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, if they knew, I mean, I think they really believed that The Rock was going to be something that would.
They thought The Rock was going to save it.
I really think they thought that was going to be collateral, but. In retrospect, I mean, hindsight's 20/20 at all times. Obviously, the triple threat match should have gone on last so that the fans didn't leave booing. But again, this is what happened. You know, and this is where we are. Frank Manzo is now joining us, of course. Mr. Frank Manzo from Wrestle Reaction. What's going on, buddy?
Gentlemen, how are we tonight? It's a little crazy in the wrestling world the past 24 hours. We've got a huge storm up here in the Northeast, so I am able to grace the Wrestling Rumors show with my presence this afternoon.
We're glad that you are. What was your thoughts? I want to know. We're going to get to everybody. I want everybody to sum up. Since this whole Royal Rumble in 5 words hashtag's been going on for 2 days, I want everybody to give me your opinion of the Royal Rumble in 5 words. Go ahead. Think about it for a few seconds. Royal Rumble in 5 words. I'm going to start with Frank Manzo. Royal Rumble, 5 words. You go.
I'm going to give you 6. Unexpected crowd.
Break the rules already.
Breaking the rules. Unexpected crowd reaction. The Rock couldn't save.
Okay. That's
terrible hashtag.
All right. All right, Alex, 5 words if you can. Frank's breaking rules.
Axeman is your winner.
We're gonna talk about that too. Walter.
Hashtag Roman Reigns gives me pains.
It's cute. It's cute. It's cute. John.
I enjoyed and I understand.
Boo!
If I had to, it's already starting. If I had to give 5 words, I regret ever doubting.
Period.
Rumbleness from Vince McMahon.
I regret not drinking before.
I got
not
5.
drunk during the whole thing. I don't know.
Okay.
I got 5 for you. Holy shit, triple threat match.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I'll agree with that, man. Let's go ahead and talk about the triple threat match. Let's talk about something that we all were praising relentlessly. The triple threat match. Where do we start, dude? This was a Mania triple threat match. I mean, if we got this match at Mania, everyone would be praising the event, not just the match. The issue is it went on before the Royal Rumble, and everyone's crapping on the Rumble and not praising the match. That's the highlight of the night. That triple threat match went down. Seth Rollins shut everyone up that has been questioning if he's ready for this or not. And all the IWC marks on the internet that are so pro Vince McMahon big guys that are trying to say, but still, can he be a main eventer really? Honestly, like, is it really going to do stuff? I know that money comes into question. Is it going to be a good draw? But other than that, he's got the talent. He's gotten really good on the microphone. He pulled out a move that he hasn't used since being in the indie scene last night to give a highlight reel. This guy understands what big match means, and he showed up and delivered last night. Anybody want to comment on Seth Rollins before we get to anything else?
I have a question for the panel right now, because you just said triple threat and WrestleMania, and I want to know what everybody thinks, because I know we all loved last year's WrestleMania main event. Do you guys think this was a better triple threat than Batista, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan?
I say yes.
Yes, but that doesn't mean the WrestleMania triple threat was bad. It was
not at all.
better.
No.
Is this? I wouldn't say. You know what? Because we can go back and look at triple threat matches for ages, and 2 that pop up in my mind are the Benoit one with Michaels and Triple H, which was fantastic, and there was one with The Rock and Kurt Angle and Undertaker at I think it was Vengeance that is up there too. But this one stands out. This could be match of the year in 2015.
I mean, I saw both in person, and I tweeted right before the match started that I was so excited to see the psychology of the match more than even just the match itself. And holy hell, just everything was brilliant about it. Everything was awesome. And you guys, I guess they didn't show Lesnar on the ground on TV, really.
Oh, they did.
A couple times.
Not too much, though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, couple times, couple shots of him. After you sent me the text that said, Heyman threw up an X, and the doctors are coming out, which Heyman throwing up an X and yelling for doctors should tell everybody it's probably kayfabe.
And I was very much in the middle of tweeting, oh, I think this is a work, as Lesnar charged right back into the ring. and the match was just so good, and everything was sold perfectly. They had people biting that something was up, and even Kyoto's reactions too, just the little things, they really had people biting, and everyone delivered. I love the chaotic beginning of the match with the double suplex to J&J. It was just awesome, and Frank, I'd go with this one over the main event. The main event at Mania had the bigger payoff in the end, but even so, this was awesome.
Alex, your thoughts?
Well, my biggest takeaway from this match is pretty plain and simple. Brock Lesnar, I know he may go to UFC. We do see him slimming down a bit. But Vince McMahon and WWE, they really need to give him the max offer that he wants just to make him stay. We've seen time in and time again, while he hasn't wrestled that many opponents, all of his matches are tremendous. Look at what he did with Punk in SummerSlam 2013. That was one of the matches of the year in 2013. Even if he is off the UFC, they need to make a huge last-ditch effort to get him back.
I want to say this, too, because this, I think, more than anything else, that's your main event, and I get the Rumble itself as a gimmick match, but your main event was the championship match, and that was worth the price of admission alone. So if that was worth the price of admission alone, people canceling their network subscription, which I know we're going to talk a whole bunch about in a little bit, for saying, oh, you crapped on us with this, that was one of the best championship matches in recent history. So I don't know how people can actually, in all good consciousness, say that, but I know we'll get into that later. I just have to make that point.
And by the way, with all due respect to Brock Lesnar, who had a great showing last night, I think Seth Rollins made that match what it was awesome. And if it was just John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, we've seen that before, but throwing in the aerial acrobatics of Seth Rollins, who, when he busted out the Phoenix Splash, I completely lost it, even though he didn't really nail it perfectly.
Yeah,
and then his dive off the top rope to the announce table, which I thought legitimately knocked Lesnar out. I mean, Seth Rollins, like you said, he's here to stay.
I think the blessing of it was the three totally different styles and physiques of those guys.
Right.
That made the match. And something that nobody's really mentioning, because maybe a lot of people didn't think it was as much was given, but I think a lot of us all thought it was. We're praising this match right now. This is going to go down as one of the best matches of the whole year. And we all pretty much knew who was going to win it. So that even more tells you how amazing of a job these guys did.
Exactly right, and all three guys were on the top of their game. Even with the Phoenix Splash hitting as a headbutt instead of a splash, he just didn't pull Cena in close enough. Holy crap! What an amazing night. Cena was on the top of his game. I'm sorry, anybody wants to bash Cena for not being a freaking
I didn't
good
get
wrestler?
the memo on the John Cena sucks melody. I didn't get the memo on that.
I love every time they pull that out, John. Every time they pull out the John Cena sucks. I love it. It's IWC being the IWC. I love what Roman Reigns said in his interview that they've shown behind the scenes on WWE.com today, where he said, I don't care what the fans do. They come, they pay their money, they can boo, they can cheer. I don't care. I'm just happy to be a part of it. I'm totally with that. I'm glad the IWC did what they had to do, and we're going to talk about what they did during the Rumble match itself. But during the Triple Threat, the crowd in Philly was hot, and it was awesome. And I'm telling you, they were waiting for that match. I mean, to have the Divas, tag team match before that was obvious. It was to calm them down and really just get them prepared for what's left to come. And they were super hot for it. And I loved, the dynamic was exactly how we said it was going to be on our show last Monday, where we said, Brock Lesnar's going to be a face. John Cena is going to be, we thought maybe Seth Rollins, being stupid, thinking that the smart crowd wasn't going to cheer for Rollins, but Cena was the obvious heel, thanks to the crowd. Not the way it was booked, but thanks to the crowd, he was the heel. And there's always a fun dynamic when that's there. And it makes you more interested in the match when the fans are that interested in the match in the arena. So, the fans, John Cena, I don't want to hear anybody say that John Cena sucked last night, because he obviously did not. He actually did some of his best work in years last night, in my opinion. I haven't seen him work like that since he faced CM Punk on Raw in 2013. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar being built as an unstoppable beast, and we'll talk about that too because of who he's going to be facing at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar looked like he may literally be the most imposing and impenetrable guy in wrestling ever. The finishes he took over and over again and still kicked out like he was John Cena, awesome. And then of course Seth Rollins came out like a freaking butterfly emerging from a cocoon, just being a freaking just force of nature to deal with, and I can't praise this match enough. I literally jumped up when he hit that Phoenix Splash out of my chair and looked at my wife, and she's freaking got this huge wide-eyed stare going, this match is ridiculous. And I was like, I don't have words for it. I don't have words for this match. It was that freaking good. And then of course the Rumble started, and we can talk about that. But man, I don't know what else to say about being just enamored with this match. I think we're going to be talking about this match for a while.
They brought down the house.
I'm trying to think of a better match since then, but this might be the best one since Punk and Cena at Money in the Bank.
Yeah. And the thing, too...
I love the Bryan Triple H match for Mania.
I mean, like, the best title match, though.
Oh, title match? Yeah, that's a good call.
Alex?
We have to remember, too, we were on our pre-show, and because of the whole Rock scenario, we thought we were going to see possible oversaturation of interference. We thought we were going to get Rock, maybe Orton, maybe Sting. We got no interference, and that turned out to be the best thing about this entire match. We didn't get any interference, and it made it so much better.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the key. They left it to those three guys to do the work, and of course Heyman, who's always worth having on the outside. Who
the part when Heyman's calming Lesnar down was awesome.
Oh yeah. And I mean, everything played out perfectly, and yeah, we knew. Like I called every single match that the finish to every match last night correctly, except for the kickoff match, which was a coin flip.
If anyway. You want to talk about people who were the only people who had as equal as a poor response to Roman Reigns was the New Day. The New Day had a horrible night.
They're done. I mean, I feel like they're in the same category as the Ascension right now.
Oh man, it was
maybe even worse.
Maybe even worse because the Ascension got the win.
I legitimately think New Day worse than Ascension.
I do too now. I mean, after Ascension's dominance over a bunch of 50-year-old guys last night.
Not being racist or anything at all. It is just a bunch of black guys wearing blue. There's no gimmick. There's no purpose. There's no way of cutting a promo. There's no catchphrase. It's stupid. Literally, we need a bunch of guys put together as a group and have them as mid-carders and filler matches and everything else, and let's do something with them.
Kofi Kingston was getting booed yesterday, and Kofi Kingston never gets booed. Even from the smart crowd, he never gets booed.
No.
And we know they're all talented, but just collectively with this stupid gimmick, they're useless.
And we had such high hopes for it, because honestly, if these guys would have come out as like monster heels, this thing would be over. But they're in this cheesy Blue Day gimmick, can we talk about the fact that WWE trolled just like the IWC last night on Twitter, calling them the Blue Day? It was literally, they said it's a Blue Day for the New Day. Like, get out of here. We know that you're just reading our tweets. Like, we understand. Like, you're just watching our stuff. But it's ridiculous. Like,
I will say, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, man, they were awesome together.
I cannot praise those two guys enough for getting in the Performance Center and learning these double team moves, because they're going to be a legit tag team, and people are going to have to start recognizing it.
I love the T-shirts also.
Yeah.
Natty looked great too.
Natty has been looking better and better lately. That girl got some makeover going on. She was always a good-looking girl, but she's mingling with the top divas now. She's doing good.
We make some fine-ass ladies in Canada, yo.
Hey, she's one of those. She's one of those we've been talking about, like J-Lo and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. They get better with age. She's getting better with age, baby.
Fine wine, Doug O'Mac.
All day long, baby. I'll take it every day.
Woo!
Oh yeah. No, you got to think. So with Cesaro and Tyson Kidd getting the win, I mean, they looked strong. The moves were fantastic. I really enjoyed that, and I looked at my wife and said, I really don't care if I lost that prediction, because I was really hoping for Cesaro and Kidd to get the win anyway. So, but the rest of the card,
Kidd's finisher was super over in Philly.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
and kudos to
killer.
Will Benson for being the only one to pick Cesaro and Tyson Kidd.
I know. And then
We thought he was some sort of weird prodigy, but then that ultimately fizzled out pretty quick.
Right. After the immediate kickoff match, he was done. The rest of the card was super predictable.
It went reverse after that, and Will was the only one who got the next match wrong.
Right. So, it's one of those things where, the card was super predictable from the get-go, but, dude, predictable's not always bad, especially when it comes to that title match. The title match was fantastic. The guy that needed to win won, and holy balls, does he look like he's impossible. How in the blue hell of Blue Day are we going to get something that makes us believe Roman Reigns is capable of beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? I mean, Brock Lesnar took 3 AAs in one spot and a curb stomp and still kicked out.
That was a fun thing.
Seriously, I want to know from you guys, how would you book Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania to where Roman Reigns looks super strong and Brock Lesnar actually gets beaten after what we saw last night?
He's going to have to spear him 10 times in a row, Superman and punch him 25 times. Like, he literally took 3 attitude adjustments, and he just kept getting up. He went to the John Cena school of not selling a damn thing, and it was awesome, and it made him look like a super badass. But now, the bar that match is set, and the way Brock Lesnar looked as we head into WrestleMania, like, we're really supposed to think that Roman Reigns is going to be able to defeat this guy? They've done not a lot to make us think that it's going to be believable, and that was one of the things that people were worried about, Why can't you put Ambrose with Lesnar? Why can't you put Ziggler or Bryan? Because they're not believable. Well, you just made Brock Lesnar look like a super friggin' beast. Right. No one can beat him.
They have to put a huge emphasis on the spear, and I think they will.
Just don't build the match around the finisher.
No,
but never. I think that's what they're going to do. I think that's what they're going to do, though.
That is if we go back to 2010, and I have to hear spear, and with the whole Jericho Edge thing, I wanted to kill myself every week. That was cool. And you can't do that. Listen, we all know what's got to be done here. They're going to have a nice, 22-minute match at Mania. They're going to have a lot of near falls. Roman's kicking out of an F5. Brock is kicking out of 1 or 2 spears. If you know what I mean. He's just and Roman's not going to be dominant in this anyway. Roman, as big as he is and as strong as he is, and he has to look that way going forward, it's still Brock Lesnar that he's in there with. So, in any formula, TV show, movie, or wrestling, you're in there with that monster who Vince Russo called literally the most believable champion in wrestling history last night.
Correct.
And I believe it's true.
I agree.
And now you let Reigns, it's got to go back and forth, but Reigns has to take a monster ass kicking.
He has to be vulnerable.
And he has to pull this out at the end.
It's got to be Rocky IV. It's got to be Rocky versus Drago, and it's got to be you have to be in better shape than that guy to wear him down.
But we're getting Rocky versus Drago earlier in the night at WrestleMania.
I know, but you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying. Like the younger guys got to get beaten up and outlast the big dude that's supposed to be unstoppable. That's what's going to happen. And that, honestly, for people that kept saying, I don't believe Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar, it's wrestling, and it's just like anything else. Like, if you wanted to go that route, you go with the endurance factor, and you have Daniel Bryan just get utterly destroyed until he gets
larger than life.
Can I ask this? Would you make it a no holds barred or a no DQ or something like that to add to the fact that like he's going to need all these outside forces to get the job done versus Lesnar?
Well, most of the time in title matches and main events, they bend the rules a lot anyways, so it could be no disqualification without them really announcing it in the first place.
I wouldn't do it with Roman. If I was booking Bryan against him, I would. I mean, I would book the Bryan match against Lesnar the same way they booked CM Punk versus Lesnar. Look how that match was. You do it exactly the same way. Yeah. But Roman, they're going to keep this to a traditional Mania title match. I don't think you're going to see any stipulations whatsoever. Like Walter said, they'll get a little loose if people want to start tossing through tables and into the stairs outside and all that stuff. They'll get into that, but it's going to be pretty clean as far as that goes. And like I said, Reigns has to take an ass kicking and pull it out in the end.
Yeah, and I just honestly, for me, I think they'll make that decision as it gets closer to Mania, and if they need to add the stipulation because they don't think that the WWE universe feels like Roman Reigns can be the guy without like a no DQ, so they can go all out outside of the arena and go all over the place. I think they'll make that decision getting closer to the Mania match.
No DQ, of course, would be a perfect stipulation just for two guys because you don't really trust the fact that you can get a really, classic bout out of the two. But no disqualification could work because, and I'm going to say it right now, I think WrestleMania, for sure, I'm convinced that Seth Rollins is cashing in at WrestleMania. I think this is going to be the first time we ever see it. I think it's going to, because I think, at Mania, it's, an international crowd, a lot of people coming in from overseas, and I think they're just chomping at the bit to poop all over this match. And how do you save that? You have Seth Rollins come in, he cashes in on a Roman Reigns, who I assume is going to beat Brock Lesnar, and then you go with Rollins versus Reigns for the months afterwards.
I also think a no DQ would be a great way of getting Reigns over with the fans, because I'll tell you what, if Reigns took a real ass kicking from Lesnar with weapons as well, I really think that would be a respect thing where people, major thing that's the snow behind me. Sorry about that, but I really think that'd be a major Jesus Christ.
What is that?
I don't know what's going on. It'd be like a major respect thing,
I think Brock is behind you, getting angry and listening.
He's like, dude, I just went through hell last night. You're gonna put me through another? Oh my goodness.
It sounds like DDP because he was so gassed last night. That yoga didn't do anything for his lungs. I'll tell you that. He's blown up in 5 minutes. Let's talk about the Rumble. Let's talk about the Rumble. This is
it, P-Song.
Let's get to the good stuff. Okay, we've got over 100 people watching us right now. More people are coming in. This is good. Keep coming in, guys and girls, and get in our chat room. And y'all, it's time to throw down. The Rumble match itself. Obviously, Roman Reigns took the cake, and he ate it too with his cousin The Rock. They shared a big piece of cake. WWE cake, and they got pooped on, both of them, and Philly decided to pop for The Rock for 2 seconds, then nothing went down other than a handshake, a raising of the hand, and they started pooping on The Rock as well. It's one of those things where we all said it, we all knew this was probably going to happen. Obviously, we all predicted that Roman Reigns was going to win this thing. Not one of us got that prediction wrong, and of course, it happened. And the fans pooped on it. And we all have theories of how we could have saved this thing. We all have theories of who should have won and who didn't win. And I just want to run through some things, how they could have booked it better. And honestly, for me, I feel like it's one of the just piss poor throwings togethers of a thing that I've ever seen in my life. The booking was absolutely atrocious for the Rumble, and I think they could have saved this thing by booking it better. But B-Song, you've been chomping at the bit all freaking day. The voiceless of the voiceless has a voice tonight and wants to talk about the Rumble. So I want you to go ahead and start. Talk about the Rumble. What do you think they could have done differently? Do you think the right person won? All that kind of stuff. Let's have it. And then we'll debate.
No holds barred, all right? I don't know how much time we have, but Raw starts at 8. We're not going to be watching Raw because I am jammed up. You said I'm the voiceless of the voiceless. I absolutely hate the cliche of IWC. I think it lumps all these fans in the one little group, so I want to be the voice of the voiceful.
Okay.
Roman Reigns, clear and cut, was not ready to main event WrestleMania 31 with Brock Lesnar in a singles match. As soon as he got hurt right before Night of Champions, he missed out on Night of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, and wrestling at TLC, even though he did appear. Those 4 pay-per-views, those 3 or 4 months, he could have easily been to a status where the fans would have been over him because he would have been feuding with guys like Seth Rollins, a major heel, Triple H, another major heel, the Authority. He could have intertwined very well in that feud. Had he not been hurt, I guarantee you he would be at a point where at the Royal Rumble last night, you're not going to have him get booed out of the building. It's asinine that they didn't set their pushback for Roman Reigns because they may do more harm to him than good because he has the potential to be a megastar. All of us IWC marks, we don't hate Roman Reigns. We like him. We think he has the potential to be a megastar. But just like in any pro sport, like baseball, if your hotshot prospect is projected to get to the major league, say in like 2015, but he gets hurt in 2013 and he can't go on to play in AAA, say 2014, you don't just push him up to the major leagues. That's going to set him back. He needs that experience in a lesser league, in Reigns' case, a lesser feud, to get on and move on. That's just my flat-out opinion right off the bat. I have a lot more to say, but I want to turn it over to you guys for that.
Walter, you got a response to that?
No, I mean, I completely agree with you, Alex. I don't think Roman Reigns should be in the spot that he is right now, but that doesn't mean I'm against Roman Reigns or the idea of Roman Reigns being a main eventer. I just think at this time there were better options out there to put in the main event of WrestleMania, and we go back to the summer when he had that hernia injury. Before that, he only had one singles match, and that was against Randy Orton at SummerSlam. And after that match, all anyone wanted to talk about was how good Randy Orton looked. Like, Roman won, but he was basically an afterthought. And now he comes back from his injury. He's getting lukewarm responses, probably not the big pops that WWE expected. They start pairing him with the Big Show. His crowd reactions continue to go down. He starts cutting these promos with the suffer and succotashes and all of these cartoon cliches, and it starts bugging all of us serious wrestling fans, not the 8 to 12-year-olds who WWE wants to pander to lately, but the guys like us, right? The guys that have been watching wrestling for years. And there's this huge love affair with the Dean Ambroses and the Dolph Zigglers and the Daniel Bryans of the world, because we've seen them, scratch and claw their way to the top. And Daniel Bryan, I think, would have been the logical choice to put up against Brock Lesnar because, A, he never lost the WWE title in the first place, so that's a storyline right there. B, he's clearly the most over guy in the company. He comes back and his reactions are just as loud as ever. And C, he's coming back from this serious injury that was thought to end his career. You put him in the main event of WrestleMania against Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. There's your storyline. It's not rocket science. That's what the people want. But WWE, as stubborn as they are, they say, you know what? Roman Reigns, we want him to be our money guy. We want him to be our golden boy. We're going to put him in this main event, whether you like it or not. And I think that's WWE's big problem these days. They don't listen to the fans. They have their own blueprint. They have their own plan, and they're not listening to what the people want. And I think that's what's frustrating people to no end. That's why we're getting these silly hashtags. That's why we're getting people threatening to cancel their network. And I think WWE needs to start looking in the mirror and saying, you know what? The fans are the ones paying for this. They're the ones watching our shows. We need to start giving that more attention.
John Alba.
So stop watching if it's bothering you that much. I mean, that's the biggest way to make a statement. Just stop watching. You keep coming back every single week, so they know it's getting to you. So just stop watching. Don't buy the network. Don't watch Raw. Don't watch SmackDown. Don't watch any of that stuff. I agreed with most of what you had to say, B-Song. The main thing that I did disagree with, though, that you said that the IWC per se likes Roman Reigns. And I can tell you, especially being there in person last night, there was a large amount of people who do not like Roman Reigns at all, who think he can't wrestle, who think he can't talk. Some of the same people who were cheering him last year in the main event of the Royal Rumble in the final two, of course. But, I got it yesterday when I walked out of the arena and I saw a little kid with his dad, and he goes, "Dad, that was the coolest thing I ever saw." And because that's what they're going for. They're looking to get to those guys, those younger guys, and say these are your stars of tomorrow. And it resonated with me because I remember thinking back, 1998, 1999, whatever it was. I'm 6 years old, 7 years old, whatever it is, and I'm saying, man, The Rock is the coolest guy on the face of the planet, And I get what they're trying to build there, and I disagree with what you're saying in that people are all like, yeah, this guy's great, because I think there's a lot of people out there who, at least in their minds, are convinced that this guy can't go, which they're just so wrong about. I get what you're saying, and I totally agree in the sense that if he had the 4 months to try to win people over, it would have done him a great justice, and I totally get it. But they're going to do what they're going to do, and we have to let it play out. Doug, you and I, for an entire year, talked about a payoff at WrestleMania last year. Mm-hmm. And here we are jumping the gun again when we haven't gotten that payoff yet. Mm-hmm. And that payoff may not be a single event. That payoff may be Roman Reigns becoming champion and us being like, this guy's actually not as bad as we thought he was. Or this guy is actually surprising us. So we'll never know until we actually get there.
Frank Manzo.
As far as him being off for break for the past couple months, Roman Reigns, And I have a two-way street of thinking on that. Maybe it could have been better, but then again, maybe it would have been more months of bad promos and buried even more. So you don't know really which way that would have gone. Listen, I still stick to what I said, and not just because I love WWE since I'm 6 years old, but if I had the book in my hands, I would 100% book Roman to win the Rumble and Lesnar to keep the belt and book them for WrestleMania. I think that's the smart business move all the way around. And it pisses me off so much because fans, they beg for new stars to be made. Oh, my God, Cena's winning the Rumble again. Oh, my God, Lesnar. Oh, my God, Batista. Oh, my God, The Rock. Okay, now we've got somebody who is nowhere near any of those guys. He's going to be brought in. He's going to be made to be a star. And so many people right away, they interpret this as, well, they're going to make Roman and they don't care about the people that we like. No. There's a monumental shift going on in wrestling right now. The Rock is maybe never wrestling again. Brock Lesnar is probably going back to UFC. CM Punk is gone. So who's your big stars right now? Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, John Cena? You got to build people around them to make more marketable names. They're doing that with Rollins. They're good. I have faith they're going to do that with Ambrose. I think they're going to do that with Ziggler. I think they have hopes of doing that with Ryback. We'll see if he makes it. They are putting guys, and Bray Wyatt is another one that pops to my mind. They're building guys, and it might not be when we want it or how we want it. And yeah, we could pick Raw apart all the time because they do stupid stuff. But right now, there is a shift coming. Look at John Cena right now, the poster boy. He's going to have basically a mid-card main event this year. He did the same thing last year. No matter how they promote it, it's not one of the top 2-3 big matches. That's reserved for Sting and Triple H. That's reserved for Roman and Brock. So they're moving in the right direction. This is what we always wanted. And I can't stand that a year ago people are behind Roman and cheering him out of the building to throw out Batista, and now all of a sudden people don't want it.
No.
I want to say, yeah.
And my last point before I stop, the worst thing that WWE did here is bring back Daniel Bryan.
Agreed completely.
Totally.
Absolute worst. If he is not in that match, if he's not on Raw the past couple of weeks, if he's not coming back, and nobody knows anything about his timeline of return or anything, do what you're doing with Orton right now. Hold him off until after the Rumble, bring him back, build him towards Mania, do whatever you want with him. And we all think it's probably going to, I think Orton with Rollins, we don't know with Bryan yet. I'd love to see the three of them in a triple threat somehow. That would be phenomenal. But don't bring him back for the Rumble because this is and it's so stupid because they saw this exact situation with Daniel Bryan last year. And I can't believe nobody said, let's just sit on this for a couple of weeks. You want to make that guy over there? You want to make Roman Reigns? Don't have Bryan come back and go in there because they're all going to be behind him again and we're going to get the same thing we got in Pittsburgh. And that was a big mistake. And they paid for it last night. They really did.
Just a quick point to what you said.
I agree completely. But the thing is, and I'll say this, I agree completely about. Oh, somebody, there's echo. Yeah. I agree that they should have left Daniel Bryan alone. He came back. They allowed him, and this is where the booking comes into play. And this is where we can tear down Raw each and every time because of how they're booking Raw too. At no point should he have been allowed to have a microphone and start getting the fans to rally behind him again just like they did last year. Like that's your issue. Like he came in and pandered to the crowd about how much he wants to go through this year just like he did last year. When he actually wants to win the Royal Rumble this time. He was the first person to declare his spot in the Royal Rumble. He starts feuding with the Authority again, and immediately you've put him right back in the same spot he was this time last year, which is exactly what they shouldn't have done. I will say about the Roman Reigns thing, and somebody's still echoing pretty bad. I don't know what's happening here.
It's you. Oh, is it Frank?
It can't be me because I have headphones in.
Not me.
Oh.
So I don't know what the deal is. But as far as Daniel Bryan goes, that's fine. We all agree he should not have been in that match if they didn't want the fans to poop on this because the fans got behind him again, and that's the issue. With Roman Reigns, especially last year at the Rumble, the reason that the fans got behind Roman Reigns is because he was the last guy in there against Batista. It had nothing to do with the fans buying into Roman Reigns at that point.
Thank you.
Okay? He was the last resort. It's just the same. The fans were chanting for Rusev last night because he was the last guy against.
Thank you.
Freaking
what?
Roman Reigns.
Well said, yeah.
Thing happened, and it's the same thing. It's not about the fans were behind Roman Reigns last year. Yeah, the fans were starting to get behind the Shield because they were an excellent faction. They were heels, but they were cool, and they were like the NWO, and everybody was getting behind them. That's great. And he was at that point, he was a badass that didn't talk. He talked he literally just said, you know, believe in the Shield, and that was it. And he was a hard ass. It just came down.
That's how he should be booked today.
That's how he should be booked today. Booking is the key here, and the fact that he was the last one remaining last year to the last remaining bit of hope to not have Batista win the Royal Rumble was why fans cheered him last year. I don't want to hear that the fans are hypocritical. And I've seen so many memes and everything today that Roman Reigns, you know, there's a picture of Batista pointing at the sign that says booed because Roman Reigns didn't win the Royal Rumble, and then they have a picture of Roman Reigns doing this at the sign, and it says booed because he won the Royal Rumble. They weren't behind Reigns last year because they were behind Reigns.
Well, I disagree with that in a sense, though.
Because Batista was the last one.
Can I further that point?
In that spot.
I was in attendance for the 2014 Royal Rumble, and let me tell you a little bit of something. When Roman Reigns is in that final two, when I and the rest of that Pittsburgh crowd is cheering for him, we're not in our seats thinking in the back of our head, man, if this guy wins the Rumble, he would be great in this heel versus heel matchup against Randy Orton. We're not in our seats saying, this guy's ready for main event stardom. We still knew Batista was damn well winning that match. We're not there thinking this guy's ready. We're just cheering because it's a rash decision and we're in the heat of a very intense moment in which we felt we were mistreated that entire night.
And like Doug said, like, they were chanting for an anti-American last night in Rusev. We want Rusev. I couldn't believe it. And you know why? It's because they didn't want Roman Reigns to win that thing.
Well, yes, that's why they chanted for Rusev, absolutely. There's no
the same reason they chanted for Reigns.
I don't think anyone will doubt that. Here's the thing. With Reigns, you can't honestly tell me that there weren't people last year who thought that all three members of the Shield were main eventers. You can't say that because there were absolutely people who thought that they were main eventers. And
Reigns wasn't the first one, though.
As Seth Rollins has proved to us, they weren't back then. They are now. But you know, you can't honestly say that people wouldn't have been realistically thinking at some point that, oh man, I really feel like these guys could be in the main event right now. That's not what they're thinking about Rusev. They absolutely got behind Rusev because they're like, man, we just don't want to see Roman Reigns win. But there were absolutely, and maybe it wasn't you, B-Song, but there are absolutely people there at some point who said, you know, I could totally see Roman Reigns main eventing right now. There were absolutely.
Not a lot.
And I know Frank will agree with me on that.
That still has to deal with the Shield being an entity. Right now, they're all in singles career. Back then, we didn't have that split. They still would have been basically the Shield main eventing WrestleMania. If you do it now, it's Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose as single stars main eventing WrestleMania.
And now the Shield was the perfect. Sorry, Frank, but the Shield was the perfect situation for Reigns. He could be the muscle, he could be the certified badass, and he didn't have to say a damn thing because Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were so good on the mic. Now you take him out of that equation, he's forced to talk on the microphone. He can't say anything of value because he's having all of these scripted promos. Now we're seeing Roman Reigns for what he is, and what he is very, very green.
Let's get away from the Rumble last year because we'll never know truly what the answer is, and we're all kind of writing away on what we're talking about there. Let's go to after the Shield breaks up. You're going to tell me that the entire crowd wasn't behind the babyface Roman Reigns at that time? You're going to tell me that Randy Orton in his feud, that he wasn't getting amazing reactions when he went to SummerSlam and Fort Orton, when he comes down those stairs for that match, he wasn't getting amazing reactions, that crowd didn't pop like crazy for that spear to finish that match? You're going to tell me all of that. Nobody can tell me all that because they were all behind him.
And Roman Reigns doesn't get booed. He doesn't get booed. Last night he got booed.
Not at all, John, and he was a badass still. Here's the problem. He goes away, and everything that he was is completely erased. And then they get him on satellite, recovering from his injury, and all of a sudden, hi, I'm Roman Reigns. I can't wait to get back. And he's got a big fucking smile on his face. And it's horrible.
Oh, PC, man, PC.
Yeah, well,
whatever. I don't care. We're uncensored tonight. I don't care. We're uncensored. This is
But that's what I'm saying. They completely changed him. He was a badass. He had the crowd behind him, even when the Shield was over, even when he was a babyface, and they were pushing him as a good guy, fighting all the heels in his feud with Orton. And that's a big guy to root against. There's a lot of Randy Orton fans out there, whether or not he's a heel or a face. And Roman, as soon as he came back from the injury, oh my God, what they did with him. They ruined him.
And yes,
they ruined him.
Thank you. And that's the issue. And that's the issue that I have, and I want to bring it back to this issue. It is the creative booking of these characters and these shows that we're being forced to watch. The thing is, he was a badass, and he was the guy that had just got turned against by Seth Rollins and kicked to the curb from the Shield. He and Dean Ambrose both were getting amazing responses. When he got put into that fatal four-way title match, everyone was going, hey, Roman Reigns is starting to become a main eventer. Here we go. And then it was, and he was still the badass. And then it was, okay, well, let's see if he can handle this and keep going. Then we started getting the dirt sheet reports, like on WrestlingRumors.net, that Triple H and Vince McMahon are going back and forth of what they want the WrestleMania 31 main event to be. That's the first time we started hearing that Triple H wants Roman Reigns to be that guy. And, of course, Vince isn't going to argue that because he's super marketable. He's got the good looks. He's got an it factor to him. I don't care what anybody has to say, especially when he is the not-talking badass. And he's got the skills. The guy can be a big main-time player, which, Alex Bisson, you didn't argue that. You actually said this guy could be a big-time guy. He could have been that guy to step in and be the next. I mean, think about the promos he was cutting right when the Shield split. They were almost TV 14 every single time. There was attitude behind him. I kept saying, man, if there's somebody that's going to bring back the Attitude Era, or at least Attitude Era type promos, Roman Reigns is that guy because he's got the look for it. He looks like he could kick any one of our asses very, very easily, and he's got the fans behind him. And then what happened? They started getting in this mindset of, okay, he's going to be the next John Cena, so we need to make him John Cena. And this is why the fans are booing him now, John, because they have forced him down our throats the last 5 weeks that he's been on TV, 6 weeks that he's been on TV. And they forced him down our throats with cheesy butt promos where he's smiling like he's Rocky Maivia in 1996, and he's saying all these cheesy, stupid things, acting like he's Superman, giving every catchphrase from Superman, using Looney Tunes catchphrases, and all these stupid words and promos that people are scripting for him. And I've said it 90,000 times on this show for the last 6 weeks. When is someone like Roman Reigns, who knows he has a spot at WrestleMania in the main event, going to just stand up, throw the script back in the writer's face, and say, this is bull crap. I know, like, I was getting over before I got hurt being this badass that wasn't saying anything but TV 14 material, and now you've got me saying this TVG stuff that I am not going to get over with, and you're going to ruin my push if you keep giving me this crap. That's the issue. It's creative booking, and there needs to be something. I don't know what else has to happen and what other proof Vince and Triple H need. I don't know how many times I've watched Monday Night War and heard Triple H talk about the fact that if we get, the only reason we got out of the cartoony stuff was because we started listening to the fans and realizing that on Nitro there was a more realistic product where people were getting out of the TVG stuff and doing something a little bit more hardcore, and we need to get in and get that kind of stuff going here. And that's exactly what they did, and they made the biggest boom in wrestling industry ever, and everybody was watching wrestling, no matter if you've never watched it before. You're going to the video store, you're picking up the DVDs and the VHSs, you're learning your stuff, you're becoming fans of wrestling, and you actually get invested in these characters because they're speaking to you like you want to be spoken to. When he comes back and they give him that bullcrap to talk down our throats, he's being shoved in our faces every single week as this new guy, this new John Cena, who, what's been the issue with the IWC for John Cena? His cheesy, over-the-top, I'm Mr. America guy that can do no wrong and is appeasing to the kids. That's what they're doing with Roman Reigns, and it's going to kill him, and it's going to ruin him moving forward. The reason he's getting booed is from booking and from the way the creative writers are handling him. And that's where the issue is, and it needs to stop. Period.
You're right. Fans want a replacement for John Cena. They don't want a clone of John Cena to take his place.
Exactly right.
The reason Roman Reigns doesn't step outside the box is because he knows it can be gone like that.
Mm-hmm. But it's not. He's the poster. He's going to be the new poster boy. That's the thing. I'm sorry. He's not Dolph Ziggler. He's not a little guy. He is a big enough guy to where he can stand up and put his nuts in someone's face and say, I'm the badass that you're booking this way. I have a right to say what I want to say. Roman Reigns, or freaking Bray Wyatt doesn't go out and read scripted promos. He comes up with his own stuff. Why can't Roman Reigns?
You know what the sad part is? His cousin cousin is right there, who's the biggest star who ever transcended wrestling, and he knows better than anybody that this cookie cutter happy face crap is not going to work. And the moment, hey, and let me tell you something, The Rock, and I'm straight as an arrow over here, that guy's got a $2 million smile, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You never saw it much, only in the Foley times when they had the little comedy going on.
Right.
He kept his face straight. He was a serious bastard. He was a tough guy. Plenty entertaining, but even when he cracked jokes, he still kept it straight. And I pray more than anything that when last night was done, that man was smart enough to sit with Vince and Triple H and his cousin Roman and say, do you guys not realize that this same crap that you tried with me when I first came in is not working for him either? It's the cause of everything that's going on here tonight.
And the best thing to happen to Rock was the Die Rocky Die chance.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because, and maybe that will be the best. Maybe the booze will be the best thing that happens. And I'm not going to get on anyone for hating what they've done with Roman Reigns because I agree. We've all talked about this. We know he's much better suited as the guy who just lets his actions do the talking. We all agree on that. I think that there is this mentality of what have you done for me lately that a lot of fans, and it's demonstrated perfectly by this ridiculousness with the hashtag cancel WWE Network thing. And if you look at the tweets, you start saying to yourself prior to looking at some of these tweets, you're like, oh, well, they're stupid. They're not seeing what's in front of them. Look at some of the tweets of the people that are giving the reasons for why they're canceling the network. It's because, oh, Roman Reigns can't wrestle. You don't realize who can actually do it. Just go look it up. Twitter search that. And that's where the issue is for me.
But just a quick point. If you kind of like map out the way the year has gone, and you were talking earlier, John, about this payoff and whether it happens at WrestleMania or not. If you look over the course of the summer, we had three guys kind of stick out, at least the second half of the year. Dean Ambrose, for one, was the king of the summer. He got the biggest push. He was at the forefront of all the shows.
Where's that?
He would show up for 2-3 segments. Then when we started heading to the fall, we started seeing a little more out of Dolph Ziggler. Got the win at Survivor Series, although ultimately nothing came from that. In the last month or so, Bray Wyatt has kind of been at the focal point. His feud with Dean Ambrose, he's been winning a lot lately. So you think, logically, one of those three guys would be a perfect guy to put into the main event of WrestleMania just because, you know what, we've been fed them this entire time. They've been winning. They've been getting the mic time, the television time. Perfect. Roman Reigns, unfortunately, has his injury. He misses a couple of months. He comes back. He's feuding with Big Show. No one really gives a damn. And all of a sudden, hey, this guy's winning the Royal Rumble. He's in the main event of WrestleMania. I don't think fans are kind of accepting to that because it seems so sudden and it definitely seems forced.
Walter, you sparked a thing in my brain I wanted to bring up, too. You talked about the Ambrose and Ziggler's. I think, actually, truth be told, the worst part of the Rumble last night, the worst booked part of the Rumble, was Big Show and Kane dumping these guys over in this nonchalant manner. Like, it meant nothing. Like, they built Survivor Series around Dolph Ziggler. You said Ambrose was one of the big guys over the summer and in the early fall. Dumped him over the rope like it was no big deal. They dumped Wyatt, who had been in the match for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever it was, like it was no big deal. That was the worst part.
Well,
that may have been the biggest slap in the face.
Right. Well, the worst part of the booking, honestly, for that was that Kane and Big Show were the last two in the freaking ring with Roman Reigns.
Big Show.
Obviously, I had Big. Everybody had Big Show in there, just about.
I had Kane.
And B-Song had Kane.
Look at you.
But there were actually
glad I got it right.
Never got eliminated. But at the same time, we knew Rusev was on the outside. He had rolled out at one point, and there was a couple times where the camera actually caught his head peeking up over the apron. So I knew Rusev was still out there and that they were going to do something. Because somehow, some way, these guys, just like Kane last year, who was trying to hide beside the stairs, but he's too freaking big to do so, these camera guys can't seem to not cut, I mean, they didn't do a blatant cut of him on the outside like they did with Kane last year, but I could see his head kind of doing this over the apron. So you knew he was out there. And, of course, Michael Cole's losing his voice and trying to play off and play out that those are the final three. You talk about the fact they just threw him over the ropes nonchalantly. I understand, like, that looks terrible. But I have to give kudos to Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, and Dolph Ziggler for selling the hell
out of those hell out of it. But
so that's why they threw him out so gently. Like these guys are supposed to be limp as a.
It was principle more than it was how it actually is executed.
That's what they were doing. Like they executed it well, but the booking was terrible.
I think it was a tactic to try to get the fans behind Roman. I think they figured maybe if those two guys threw out a bunch of fan favorites that
absolutely was.
Them, it didn't work.
No, I think if anything was a spit in the face, that was the spit in the face last night.
Right. Well, here's these two heels that no one has cared about in the last forever, and we're gonna, Kane is now getting bad heat. Okay, if Kane can't get heat, it's just bad, and you don't need to have him be in the final.
I would have had Rusev go off on those guys.
Oh yeah. But then you got to worry about, is Rusev going to be the guy that's being cheered, which happened anyway because the fans were wanting.
If Rusev eliminates Ziggler and Ambrose.
If it comes down to Rusev and Reigns giving a stare down in the ring, it's still going to be the same thing. But the biggest thing, the biggest problem, obviously, was putting Big Show and Kane in as the last two. But I mean, even if you had, I don't know who else you put in there other than having Rusev or somebody. And you still could have had the spot where if Roman Reigns picked up the Big Show and tossed him over, at least they could have respected that. That didn't happen. They were freaking Kane and Big Show. How many times have we seen them get each other in chokeholds like that? Like they're going to try to choke slam each other, and they kind of just start tipping over the rope, and you're like, oh God, like this is the cheapest way for Roman Reigns to get the victory. He's going to dump them over while they're just leaning on the ropes like this. Is the most ridiculous thing. Terrible booking.
Well, you guys are in the wrestling news business, and I remember after last year's Royal Rumble, which, by the way, maybe nobody likes the result, but I happen to think the match was planned out pretty good. And I always and I remember like maybe 2 or 3 days after the Rumble last year, it was reported that Jamie Noble laid out the whole match, and he was getting a lot of heat backstage. Like they were trying to put it on him that the fans revolted, and it had nothing to do with any of that. It had to do with Batista. I thought it was laid out pretty good. I want to know if we're going to get an article like that this year, because somebody's ass is going to get chewed out. Because this was not out hard.
I thought the beginning of the Rumble was fine. I think picks 1 through 10 were okay. Bray Wyatt screwed up. Bray Wyatt most definitely screwed up and gave the promo at the wrong time.
How is the Miz and Mizdow not in the ring at the same time?
You want to know why it happened, Frank? I'll tell you why it happened. Because R-Truth is black, and Vince McMahon thinks it's hysterical because he's interchangeable with Devon.
Okay, so, hey. You can do that any other time. How do you not?
I know.
How do you not have somebody throw the Miz over the ropes and Sandow look at that and dive over the ropes after?
I know. Or question. They still
how do you take the guy with the most stamina on the roster, the friggin' HBK of this era, and make him number 30? Shawn Michaels was never 30. He couldn't be 30 in the Rumble.
I'll tell you why, because they wanted someone for the crowd to cheer for, because they expected this Roman Reigns stuff, not to the extent that it was, but they wanted someone in there at the end to garner a pop.
John, he had to have a better showing in there than that. He had to. I'm not saying he had to go 1 to the end, but you make Dolph 20 or something like that and let him do some work in there. Let him hang around the ropes and people try to throw him out. The guy was just the star of Survivor Series, and you gave him a Slammy, and you made a whole big deal of it. And he was just in basically the biggest storyline going on TV with the firing angle, which sucked, but it still was the thing that they most paid attention to in the past 2 weeks. And then you do him like that? It was horrible.
I agree.
Alex wanted to say something? Oh, I thought Alex wanted to say something.
No, my mic was cutting out. I just want to say quickly, though, part of the reason they do put Ziggler in 30, and I think it goes back to the weeks leading up to that, and since Survivor Series, when Reigns did come back, they wanted to stall Ziggler's momentum. If you would have had him in the spot of Bray Wyatt, say he goes 40-some minutes in the match, the fans are going to get behind Ziggler to a point where when he is eventually eliminated, when he's eliminated by like Big Show and Kane like that, the fans are just going to get that much more jammed up about the whole thing of the Ziggler going over the rope and then Reigns ending up winning.
It's funny how we made all of our picks on who would survive the longest based on who we felt would have the best endurance, like Daniel Bryan or Dolph Ziggler. And then the two chunkiest guys in the match, from, low to the ground and, girthy, Bray Wyatt and Rusev are the ones who survived the longest.
Yeah, I gotta admit, when I made my choice, Wyatt was in my mind, but obviously I wanted to go with a Bryan or a Ziggler because that's typically what they do. You get guys like that to do that.
Right.
But you know what? I understand what Alex is saying. You don't want to build up that momentum too much that the fans then they get really pissed off. But at the same time, did anybody really expect Dolph Ziggler to win the Rumble? No. Maybe they expected Daniel Bryan to win the Rumble. That's a different
it was a two-person Rumble.
He's a top-tier guy. You know what I mean? So I just still think he could have done something more. And you know what? Bryan should have stayed away from the ending like they did. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But how quick he went out and how he went out is a travesty.
It was atrocious. It was atrocious. You've already made your bet in booking him in the match. You've already made your bet in having him get the fans behind him, and then you have him go out like that. I mean, just get knocked off the apron by Bray Wyatt. I love the rivalry that they've started with Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. I mean, it goes back to this, to December and November of last year with the Wyatt family taking on CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and then of course you get Daniel Bryan pseudo becoming a Wyatt member, and then getting just going over like crazy when he got on the cage and laid out Wyatt, and then we got one of the best Royal Rumble opening matches I've ever seen in my life. Between Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan, and again we got that match on Raw last week, and it was phenomenal. And I love the rivalry that they have there, so it makes sense to have Bray Wyatt eliminate him, but not like that, and not that early. And again, that goes back to booking. Whoever booked the Royal Rumble, and I have watched every single Royal Rumble probably at least 5 to 6 times, and this was probably one of the worst, if not the worst, booked and laid out and mapped out Royal Rumbles I've ever seen in my life.
The Titus O'Neil thing, by the way, no one caught on to that at all.
That was awful.
Like so many big spots.
It took me a second to realize what they were trying to do, that they were trying to break the record. And then when I realized, I was like, oh, man, they just screwed that up real bad.
And who was involved with that? Roman Reigns.
Yeah, well, that was Ambrose, too. But
it was none of their faults.
No, it was a bad spot. But the best pop of the Rumble, undoubtedly, Bubba Ray coming in, guys. I mean, that place, myself included, we just lost it. And I'll tell you what, watching it all back on the network, it does not do it justice just how loud it was in that building last
How was Daniel Bryan's pop? That was pretty.
It was huge. It was huge, no doubt about it.
That was the beginning of the end for that Rumble, by the way. As soon as Bryan left, I mean, it was so obvious watching it on the network that the mood completely just went kaput. No one cared from that point on.
Yeah, from picks, from numbers 16 through 25, no one cared.
No, and that's the thing, man. It all comes down to who laid out the match and how terrible it was booked. And with them having, and they did realize that fans were going to poop on this thing, especially on Roman Reigns, because we've been talking about it for months, and everybody knew that was who the guy was going to be, and people have been booing him in the arenas, and people have been not coming on the Roman Reigns track like they wish that we would have. So I mean that they wouldn't have flown The Rock in and told everybody The Rock was there if that wasn't going to be the case. They knew they needed somebody to be the save of face, but it didn't work. And when you take out the guy that the fans had just rallied around again on television because creative allowed it to happen, it just ultimate poop show. And it all comes down to, I mean, think about, we talked about it on the pre-show. There were 13 empty spots, 13 unannounced spots. 17 confirmed, 13 unannounced spots.
And they were all garbage.
And they were all wastes. I'm sorry. Outside of Bubba Ray, which was a fantastic thing to do, coming in.
I'll take DDP.
Yeah, and DDP was good. I mean, getting to see some diamond cutters, that's not a bad thing. I'm all for the surprise marquee entrances. I'm all for that. There should be more of that. But there were 2, Bubba Ray Dudley and DDP, and Boogeyman
did not go over well in the arena.
Boogeyman didn't do anything but make Bray Wyatt get a spider walk in there. That was it, and he didn't get any bumps. There was nothing interactive between them except for a clothesline and a toss, and so there was no point to that. There really wasn't.
Ryder was good. A lot of people reacted very well to Ryder.
No, but the issue with Ryder was, of course, the promo that Bray Wyatt gives to whoever wants to come out, and it's supposed to keep building towards Wyatt and Bryan having this awesome feud, and he did it a guy too early. And I just when I hear Bray Wyatt, who's been utterly dominant the last 6 guys, tossing him out left and right, and he gives this whoever wants to come out, come on. This is my year. It's my ring. I'm ready for whoever. Which I haven't seen that kind of thing in a while. Like
Punk did that.
Punk did that, but the biggest guy in the industry did that in '97, and I was looking at that going, okay, Stone Cold Steve Austin did this in '97. This is really good for Bray Wyatt, and whoever comes out, it's got to be a big name, right? Like it's got to be a big guy like Daniel Bryan or Dolph Ziggler or somebody, and it's Zack freaking Ryder. Who booked this? I mean, the thing is, what if that wasn't Bray Wyatt's fault? What if that was just the booking's fault?
I am broadcasting live from Long Island, New York right now. He had no business in that match, okay?
No.
My hometown guy, no business in it. Listen, I'll take even the Boogeyman. I'll take those 3 spots for the legends, okay?
Sin Cara.
Loosely used term legend there, but I'll take it. Okay?
Yeah, that's 3 spots.
What is Curtis Axel doing in there? What is Sin Cara doing in there?
The real missed opportunity was no NXT guys, and you and I.
That's what I'm saying, John. Like, come on, you couldn't take 2 of these useless guys out that are never used on TV anymore, that they do nothing, that they have a cup of coffee in WWE right now, and give 2 NXT guys a spot? Come on.
I said that on Twitter, but everyone was giving me grief because they were like, well, Curtis Axel is an NXT guy. He's down there right now.
Neville and or Zayn should have been in the match.
No, okay, well, the whole Curtis Axel thing, let's talk about the whole Curtis Axel thing, because he's still in the Royal Rumble.
Now,
I mean, seriously, I understand, like, they've done this kind of thing before, where somebody takes out a guy who had a spot and they get put in it. But they literally, when Eric Rowan hit the ring, Michael Cole the entire time is saying, Rowan's not in this match. Rowan's not in this match. Yeah. He didn't take his spot. Curtis Axel's still in this match. Where is he? And I'm like, what are you doing? You're not even playing up to the fact that he stole the guy's spot. Like, what's wrong with you? This commentary team gives me an ulcer every single time I have to listen to them talk. Michael Cole, at least sell the fact that he took out the guy to take his spot, and now he's in that spot.
Hey, you voted him best announcer last year.
I didn't vote crap.
Well, you wrote JBL, him, there.
Out of the three, he's the one that actually calls a wrestling move every now and then.
Tom Phillips, your girl Renee.
Guys, that's like picking between shit and poop.
Exactly right. He called the shit poop. No, it's all the same. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing. I can't stand the fact that we even have to vote between those guys. I mean, it boggles my brain how when Eric Rowan takes a guy out and takes his spot, they keep saying, well, Curtis Axel's still in. Where's Curtis Axel? And Eric Rowan's not in this match. Eric Rowan's not in this match. They popped for the Wyatt family being in the ring at the same time.
I did a lot of watching of old Rumbles this year, and I didn't even realize that Lawler and JBL and Cole actually called, I think, the 07 Rumble, the 3 of them. And I was like, oh my god, this is basically like the current announce team. They just moved Lawler out, but it is. And it was funny. They weren't bad back then. It's like it's gotten goofier and worse as we went on. Like, it's bad.
It's bad.
They don't help tell the story. And, of course, I watched the greatest commentating storytelling of a Royal Rumble ever right before this Rumble went on yesterday. That's tradition in this house. And I'm talking about Gorilla and Bobby Heenan for '92, and you'll never see anything like that ever again.
I thought I'd never say this, but Ronnie, I love you. It's not a skirt, it's a kilt. Oh, you skirt wearer, it gets a kilt. It's not a skirt. It's a skirt, not a kilt.
We'll take a good vibe, Rain.
I'll ask you this, Manzo, because I assume, you've seen a majority of the Royal Rumbles, right?
Every one of them, buddy.
Is the 2015 one the worst of the modern era?
No.
Was the worst of the modern era.
Define modern era. What are we talking modern era?
I mean, we're not talking like the really early ones because it didn't really set itself up as like this big monumental match. But I mean, like,
the first one wasn't. When they went to pay-per-view in '89, you had a Champ Savage in there, Hogan. I mean, that was a big, big Rumble. Don't take it lightly. Since then, the only thing I can think of to watch worse than this is probably when Shawn won in '95, because it was basically Shawn Bulldog, 28 jobbers, back to Shawn and Bulldog.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
That's what the match was.
Yeah, but they got, obviously they realized their mistake, and '96 wasn't that bad, and you had Shawn Michaels super kick Diesel out on the last thing to go to WrestleMania, and that was fantastic for me. The booking of this match was so atrocious that I can't get over it. Like, after seeing such a monumental and amazing triple threat match, I have to watch one of the, if not the worst.
2013 sucked.
GD Royal Rumble.
I don't think so, John. I don't mind Cena winning that Rumble.
That one wasn't bad. The booking was at least watchable.
I didn't like.
I'll tell you what, another one that was bad is 2000 that I was there for.
Yes,
2000 was bad.
The
Yeah,
Rumble
2000
match
was
is
bad.
atrocious.
Taka Michinoku's still feeling that.
Oh yeah, of course he is. But that
Hey, too cool dance in the ring, man. You guys are haters.
That was
Hey,
cool.
that's fine. That was a fine spot. All right, that was for the crowd, whatever. But the fact that you have 13 spots, you have 3 supposed legends come out and no other ones, and then guys like Randy Orton, who's backstage dressed to wrestle,
Dude.
backstage dressed to wrestle, and was
storyline
supposed to be on Raw tonight with freaking abilities to come back. They don't bring Randy Orton back. RVD, who's in, it's freaking Philly. I don't care what anybody says. Frank, you're shooing him off. I don't care what anybody says, even if it's just for the Rumble. Yeah, he hasn't done the best work the last 2 times he's come back. The payback, when he came back at Money in the Bank in 2013, that was good. And then the payback match and some of the Raw matches he had with Chris Jericho were fantastic. The last time he came back, he wasn't that great. But I don't care what you say. You're in Philly. I mean, I know that we already had the pop for Bubba Ray, but for RVD, it would be just as loud and be just as good, and he could get some spots in the ring. That's fine. They booed the piss out of every jobber that came out. Sin Cara, freaking. I mean, I'm glad they took the Los Waistadores out.
Oh my
God, if they were in there.
God, if El Torito.
El Torito again.
Oh my God. But they booed they booed Big E out of the building, like, and Kofi Kingston, who never gets booed, and
his spot sucked. We haven't talked about that.
His spot was atrocious. Like you go from pogo sticking on a chair, or you go from handstand walking, which is incredibly athletic, to pogo stick walking on a chair, to jumping from the barricade onto the ring, to just being caught by a bunch of jobber indie workers and being carried back to the apron just to get knocked out immediately. That was the worst Kofi Kingston spot, and honestly, I don't want to see any more Kofi Kingston spots in the Royal Rumble. But that's the thing. Like, every one of those guys that came in, Titus O'Neil, anybody else you want to throw in there that came out that shouldn't have been in there?
Axel, right?
Axel served a purpose, but it didn't actually serve a purpose. Like, it was supposed to serve the purpose for Eric Rowan to take a spot, and they didn't sell that. They sold it. Eric Rowan didn't steal a spot.
By the way, Doug, with what they did with that, then just keep Eric Rowan in the Rumble.
Exactly right.
What was the point of that?
I don't get it. It drives me crazy. They got tossed immediately. I don't understand who booked this match.
Jack Swagger's kind of jobbery too.
Who booked him to lose on Thursday, to lose his spot, so he can have Curtis
Ryback did nothing.
So he can jump in. It was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Ryback did nothing.
Spots, that's fine. Dean Ambrose was one of the 10 spots. That's fine. Dolph Ziggler, one of the 10. Well, we knew Dolph Ziggler was going to be there. We knew Dean Ambrose. So there's other 10 spots. Whatever.
Wade Barrett, good.
Wade Barrett, good spot.
There did nothing in that match.
Nothing. Horrible.
Cesaro
didn't do anything.
Cesaro, who won the Battle Royal? Who won the Battle Royal at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
And I said on my tweet, I'm like, I think they might give Cesaro a few eliminations tonight. Nope, nothing.
Guys, they didn't even book the winner good. Roman didn't even eliminate that many people.
No.
He was a non
the most. Was it Rusev or was it Wyatt?
I think Reigns had 6 because he was tied, but none of them were
Well, actually, Kane had the most. I would say probably Kane and Big Show and Wyatt were the most.
Wyatt might have had.
Rusev looked great last night.
Rusev did look good. I mean, the guy. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's talk about this. Just a travesty of what's about to happen. Rusev looked awesome and has looked awesome since he debuted in the Royal Rumble last year. Has been built as this monster heel that hates America and Americans are supposed to hate him. This guy, who can work as a big dude. I mean, fantastic worker. I love watching this guy work. He can work with anybody. This guy is about to be made a main eventer, whether you like it or not. This is what they tried to do with Bray Wyatt, and it didn't work out as well for Bray Wyatt, even though some of the psychology going into John Cena versus Bray Wyatt was good. The outcome was not good. We're about to see Rusev versus John Cena at WrestleMania, and this is where I want us to share our thoughts and opinions on this, because this is happening. On the Fallout show immediately afterwards, for some reason, John Cena got pissed off that Rusev stole the mic from him and Renee Young, pissed off to the point where he had to go nose to nose with Rusev, and people had to pull him apart. It was the dumbest setup for a feud between these guys I've ever seen in my life. We all question, well, if they're going to do John Cena and Rusev, how is that going to happen? Like, how is this going to start? Like, what's going to happen? It was a freaking promo
on the network
during the Royal Rumble Fallout show on the WWE Network, which most casual fans are not going to watch and see. So what happened? John Cena's given this promo. Well, you know, I don't know who could. John Cena didn't even think that Roman Reigns could beat Brock Lesnar because he said, I don't think anybody can beat Brock Lesnar. Honestly saying that he doesn't think he could even beat Brock Lesnar on his own in a singles match anymore.
But Doug, that's not a bad thing going into this situation.
That's fine.
They want to make him look impossible. That's good for Roman, actually.
That's fine. That's fine with me. Whatever. I'm glad that John Cena admitted that he's human. That's fine with me.
Quick surprising fact, by the way, Manzo said Roman Reigns didn't eliminate anybody. He had the most eliminations in the Royal Rumble.
I said 6.
He didn't eliminate
I said
anybody.
6.
I felt like it was meaningless. Like it wasn't meaningful. I mean,
He did 2 at once.
Except the last 3 that he threw out, the entire time that he was in there, he wasn't really doing anything good.
Wyatt, Rusev, and Reigns had 6, so they're all tied.
Okay,
Whatever.
all right.
But listen, I mean, honestly, like Rusev, who's pissed off, and you know, give him credit, he should be pissed off. He just got thrown out as the last guy in the Royal Rumble. Grabs the mic away from Renee Young and starts speaking gibberish in Bulgarian that no one can understand, and John Cena pushes him like a schoolgirl on the freaking playground. Just this nonchalant little. And Rusev smacks John Cena back, and then they're nose to nose, and John Cena has the fury of hell in his eyes. How?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think Rusev beats John Cena at WrestleMania unless they book it with Hulk Hogan in John Cena's corner. Super likely. In which case, nope.
You know what? That's the biggest problem with this match because, you know, they've been reporting this potential match for months now, and I think the biggest problem fans have with it is that they think John Cena is going to end Rusev's streak. And we don't really have a lot to go on because last year at WrestleMania, everyone and their mother thought that Bray Wyatt needed to be the one going over John Cena, although they did continue that feud for a couple of months. Now we're getting the same thing with this young up-and-comer who has so much potential to be a monster heel, even bigger than he is now for WWE, and he's going up against the unstoppable force. We all know John Cena's track record at WrestleMania. It's not looking good for Rusev.
The difference is Wyatt could have afforded a loss, but Rusev is in a point where he has to go over in this match. I do not want to see Hulk Hogan, who I absolutely despise at this point. He can have an involvement in WrestleMania. It can't be in that match because Rusev has to go over, period.
But Cena never gives up, right? I mean, if Rusev puts him in the accolade, what are you going to do? Have him pass out again just like everyone else?
But here's the thing. If Rusev makes John Cena pass out, Rusev's a made man.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my only thing. I'm not hating on the matchup. I just didn't understand how we were going to get there and how it was going to make sense. Guess what? WWE logic, it doesn't make sense. It's a stupid backstage promo that nobody saw. And they're going to show it on the Raw. They're going to show it on Raw tonight at least twice, so that you know that now there's an issue between Rusev and John Cena. But the thing is that it's not booked well, and now you're going to have a freaking U.S. champion. Which sure they can take the title off of him, but how are they going to do that? Rusev will have to lose before
I don't
John
think it'll
Cena.
be for the title. I think it'll just be a non-title.
Doug, knowing WWE logic, he'll have the U.S. title and they won't even have it up for grabs.
Right. It's just going to be a match. It's just going to be a match.
Okay? And by the way, what I'd love to see, let Rusev go over and go home with Lana and Nikki. That would be a good
There you go.
Rusev crush.
Rusev crush two at once.
Rusev Machka.
Rusev Machka on two, lady.
Now there's a made guy. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm telling you what. But no, the thing, and how about Nikki looking great? She's been doing some CrossFit, man. She's got toned.
Nikki is phenomenal. If Joe was here right now, he'd be drooling. My partner is in love with Nikki Bella.
How about that?
You know what I'm still worried about though, John? Like when you bring the Hulk Hogan thing up, I didn't even think about this. But if they put Hulk Hogan in John Cena's corner, they got to put somebody other than Lana in Rusev's corner.
Right.
And for God's sakes, they freaking had Triple H drop Nikolai Volkov.
Yep.
Oh my God!
Hey, what if they put that? What if they put somebody like Nikolai Volkov in Rusev's corner, like, or they get an actor like they did with Bill Clinton and Obama? What if they get an actor to look like Vladimir Putin and say Vladimir Putin's actually coming to the WrestleMania?
Listen, if it's not Dolph Lundgren or Bridget Nielsen, don't do it.
You know,
No.
they could also go in the same way that Sergeant Slaughter turned anti-American. They could have a legend, get behind Rusev in that sense if they wanted to. But then the match isn't about Rusev Cena. Then it's about a bunch of other guys.
Right, and I don't. If they're doing Rusev Cena, I really don't think Hulk Hogan's in the corner.
But would you be surprised if he is?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think they'll go that route.
I don't have him stop I don't have him involved in any way. I think it's straight up the two of them. And you know what? The option's always there, yes, for John Cena beating him and breaking his little streak he's got going, and that would suck. But I got to tell you, I'm not as confident about John Cena winning as I was last year. I knew
I'm not.
Wyatt. He beat Wyatt. I think there may be a shot here for Rusev to go over him. I really do.
And that's that. I mean, I love the fact that we're even talking about that. The fact that this may be the guy that beats John Cena on a WrestleMania stage to get put over. I'm fine with that. I just hate the way it's being booked. I hate the booking of wrestling right now.
Well, it's still very early with these two.
It's a stupid little backstage confrontation. You can't judge anything from that. We've seen great feuds get started in stupid little 30-second segments like that. So, I mean, really it would have depended upon what the hell happened tonight. I don't think anything's happening from the Stanford studio tonight.
You know what
I'd love to see more than anything tonight? I'd love to see them break out the old long table and go old school primetime style.
Right. But let's talk about tonight, because we have 8 minutes before it starts and we haven't even talked about Raw at all. The Raw that's happening tonight from the headquarters, talent's there. They're teasing online that Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, John Cena, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, a lot of the top guys, and I would beg to say probably Rusev's there. I mean, these guys have been put in a position tonight to do something, and there's a 3-hour show to fill. I don't know what they're going to do in the headquarters. Maybe we see Brock Lesnar take over Triple H's office again. I don't know what we're going to see.
Cash in on the anchor table.
His office, which wasn't even, it was a freaking layup cubicle that they did just to see, oh my God. That segment was just absolutely amazing, and in a bad way. Like, it was just really bad. It was so good. Because you knew damn well that wasn't Triple H's office.
And then they showed it in the Warrior special, by the way, when he
right. It was just incredible. But that's what's for store tonight. I mean, we got 3 hours of, I don't know what they're gonna do, but there's gonna be stars in the headquarters, so I don't know what they're gonna do.
Fans always complain that Raw has a 20-minute promo every week to open the show, and it kind of drags on. This is going to be a 3-hour promo.
They can make this interesting, though. They can make this interesting, because if you just let a guy like Reigns talk tonight, hey, listen, last night you got booed out of the building. What the hell happened?
No, they can't do any of that. They need
I know they won't. I know they won't recognize him getting. But you know what? I don't say that, because they recognized it online today.
They did
on the website that he got booed out of the building.
Yes, they did. They acknowledged it, and they showed the format of what WWE 24 is going to be about,
which is awesome. I can't wait.
I'm going to be watching that right after Wrestle Reaction tonight. If y'all do a Wrestle Reaction tonight,
I don't know what we're doing tonight. I said to people
I'll be watching WWE 24.
I said to everybody, I said I have to see what the hell we're even watching tonight. Before, I mean, I might do something anyway just to get my thoughts out on the Rumble. But I mean, I have no idea what we're in for.
No, nobody does.
Maybe we'll get a parking lot brawl. We know that's in the building.
Yeah, boiler room brawl.
But isn't this like a
snowball fight?
Isn't this like a blessing in disguise though for WWE? When you think about all of like the ill will that came from the Royal Rumble pay-per-view last night, and the boos that Roman Reigns got, and then you get this snowstorm out of nowhere, that means you're not going to hear anyone boo Roman Reigns tonight. This would be the perfect opportunity to just ignore everything and let cooler heads prevail.
Yeah, I'm a good song now where I want to see Curtis Axel and Ryback in a snowball fight. I'll actually
we need to see J&J Security outside just snowball fighting.
Frank is looking forward to the Summer Rae Emma Hotel
there we go.
Confrontation.
Listen, I've got the main event right here, okay? They're in the building. They've got the old school WWE gym inside that facility. So we are going to have an old school early 90s WBF Ico Pro bodybuilding main event in the gym
between Vince and Lesnar.
Yes.
Oh my God. That'd be so amazing.
Hey, pal, I think I can take you out.
You can bring back Gary Stridham.
Yeah,
roll Lex Luger in there.
Yeah, you get Lex Luger there. You get the montage, the 80s montage music in there.
Did you just say roll Lex Luger?
An hour of Stephanie McMahon lubing up Triple H, and I'm not talking about his muscles.
You're a winner! You're a fighter!
Oh my God.
Roll Lex Luger in there. Are you a horrible human being?
They will Lex Luger in there.
We gotta go out on that. We gotta go out on that.
He comes in like Joe Swanson on Family Guy, just rolling in.
Let's do this!
Let's do it!
Oh my God! By the way, that's totally what Triple H was like when he tore the quad. I was just watching Rumble 02 yesterday, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, this guy didn't walk for like 7 months, and he just sat down and did nothing but upper body. He was like Joe Swanson. You're a winner!
Yeah, oh yeah.
You're the best
that's happening.
I'm telling you, man, WBF bodybuilding competition tonight on Raw.
Oh, by the way,
can you imagine, by the way, that there's this situation right now, and they have to cover 3 hours?
Do you know what
3
should have
hours.
happened? If they had the Triple H Austin thing for tonight instead of next week, if you put those two, you even get Vince in there for 3 hours, your viewership would be sky high.
Let me tell you something, Alex. That's a good point. And if I was them and knew earlier today that this could be a problem, I would have tried everything I could to get Austin there right now.
Oh yeah.
That would have been insane.
We have a
Maybe they'll,
question on the Twitter here, just for all of us before we go, from Rostafa101. He's asking, what is our thoughts on the idiot fans blocking the superstars from leaving the building last
They're
night?
idiot fans. They're
It's
stupid.
typical
They're
Philadelphia.
stupid.
I'm sure that's happened before.
Too bad Jericho wasn't there to get out of his truck and
You
slap somebody.
better believe or CM Punk, somebody that just doesn't
Right.
care. Yeah, or Bully Ray for that, or Bubba Ray Dudley. Finally, I can call him that again. Bubba Ray Dudley. I mean, that's something that those guys, if it would have been any one of them, there would have been a fight out there. So.
By the way, did he know for months that he was making a Rumble appearance as Bubba Ray?
By the way,
He left
Velvet
TNA like
Velvet Sky.
Jacked.
all of a sudden he's
Yeah,
huge again. Like what the
I
hell
know.
happened?
Yeah, he left. I mean,
I
in
wasn't
TNA,
expecting it at all. I was
I
like,
know. I thought the
Like,
same thing when I saw Bubba come
when he
out.
came out, I'm like, what the
He
hell
was like
happened?
Godzilla. What happened? Because he was getting jacked in TNA. And he came out, and I was like, oh, his old ring gear fits.
I'm telling you, I tell you what happened, man. He's sitting on the couch enjoying some Velvet Sky lap dances.
That's what he was doing, while eating a pint of Haagen-Dazs every single
Oh
night.
God, screw the Haagen-Dazs. Give me her.
No, he was eating it out of her. So.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're getting into more territory of my show.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I hope she comes to WWE
Guys,
because John
guys.
was about to say she's not in TNA,
Yeah,
right?
she's not in TNA. She's gone
She's
now.
not.
But guys, we gotta roll on out of here. We gotta roll out.
Yeah, we got to roll out, man. We got to roll out like Luger on a hot date.
Our show might be more entertaining than what we're going to see. We don't have Lord Alfred Hayes to put the studio on.
No, tonight we have Andre the Giant showing us how to make hamburgers. And of course, Rolex Lex Luger. Okay, everybody, have a good night. Enjoy Raw. I'll be live tweeting from @WrestleRumors. Of course, Frank Manzo @WrestleReaction @FManzo3. You can follow him there. There may be a Wrestle Reaction tonight or not. We'll tell you on Twitter. John Alba @JohnAlbaSFC.
22.
He's waving the vapors. He's waving the vapors because he got the Chris Walter @Walter Sports. This was fun. Love the talk. Alex P. Song @Class Mode ALB. So, what did you deem yourself? The voice of the what?
Voiceful. Voiceful.
Voice of the voiceful.
Mm-hmm.
That happened. So go block a car in a parking lot, and we'll see you a little bit later on.
Snowball.